Hey everyone, it's Jesse. I'm gonna do a bit of a compositing tutorial today. So what I mean by compositing today is putting together every asset in a scene to make a complete shot. I'm just gonna work off assets I already have because I don't have anything that's work in progress right now. So if you haven't already seen the short film Mannequins that I directed, you can click the link in the top right to check that out. Otherwise, I'm just gonna build one of the shots from Mannequins, just for demonstration. Okay, I can try to do this one, I reckon. So shot 80. First of all, what I do is in After Effects, I right click and I go to import file. Actually, you know what I can do? Multiple files. And that was 80, I think. Multiple files opens up another window, so I can just go back. These are the shadows, which I named SH. So these are all the PNG sequences that I would have exported from my previous steps in the other videos that I made. These aren't sequences, so I can just select them. And now I have to get the background for shot 80, so I go out of TV Paint's folder, find Photoshop. 80, 80. I think that's it. And I would also usually have the, let's say I'm the compositor for this, I would probably also have the, what's it called? The rough or the layout file or whatever, the animatic. So probably this, I don't know. So let's say I'm like doing my first round of compositing. I would probably have something probably better looking than this to work off, but this is how I drew it, so that's my own fault. So if you hold Control and you press left and right on the keyboard, you can go by frame. So I know here is where I need to get the shot to start. So first of all, I put down the background, or I can actually, you know what, I would set this columns modes, set this on multiply, because it's got a white, so I could just like, you know, and if you press T, you get the transparency. I'll put it on 50. Alright, so let me check for the background. Here it is, background. No, that's the background character. I'm confused. Here we go. So I would chuck that in there. Make sure it starts. If you hold shift, it will snap to whatever. So because my mouse is on the right area, I'll snap it there. What else you can do is you just like chuck it in the start and then you snap it like this, which can be more helpful. I'm gonna find where that shot ends by pressing Control and like going left and right. So it ends here. And now I know this is all I need, so I can zoom in. Whoops, this one's the zoom. If your animation is long like this one, I would actually break it up into multiple files. As you can see, I actually have a sequence for this one, so I would actually break it up into sequences. But if you're doing something super short, super simple, you probably don't need to. But for Mannequins, we split it up into 3 sequences. Alright, so, you know, I got the background layer, then I got the foreground. If you know a more efficient way of doing this, please let me know, because every time I just like drag it into the timeline, I press shift, and then I snap it to what I already have. Alright, so these are PNG sequences. As you can see here, my animatic and the intended frame rate is 24, so I have to match these to that for them to read correctly. So let me see if I can do it all at once. You can't. Okay. So one at a time, I'm gonna go into interpret footage main or Control-Alt-G. And here I set the frame rate to 24. This is also the window you need to get into if you have a looping animation, and here you can loop it, yeah, just loop it however many times you want. So now you can see it went to 24, and I'm just gonna do the same with this. Control-Alt-G. Sweet, now all of these should be the right timing. I think that one's the shadow. Background, foreground. So I'll put it in the obvious order. Oh! I forgot that that's actually the right length already, so I can already chuck it in here. I just realized my canvas is like way smaller than the picture. Okay, for the sake of this, I'm just gonna make it all fit to frame because why not? So you right click here, transform, fit to comp. Fit to comp. Alright. Okay, for some reason, my animation is a little bit longer, so I'll just leave that, see how that goes. It could be because I put some extra frames at the start and the back just in case, or it could be an actual fuck up. Not really sure right now. Oh, I keep forgetting, I need to put them into the right part of the timeline to make it easier for myself. I think I just like made this in 1080, but the After Effects file is in 720, so of course this needs to be about the characters. I can turn this on and off to just take a look at it. And then I have the character, the mannequin. Actually, I don't have the mannequin. Output, Maya. That dude. Oof. I haven't actually used After Effects for a while, so sorry if I'm going a little bit slow or doing things wrong. Cool. Alright. Fit that to height. We'll fit it. And then I'm just gonna make these. What I'm gonna do is chuck the render region only on this shot for the sake of this. So this button, it previews it at full speed. So it means it has to render really slowly first and then it'll play it at full speed. Okay, it actually even has music on my end. Alright, so I can see that I went a bit, like, we need to shave some frames off. I think, contextually, I would... Yeah, to me it doesn't make sense to hold these for any longer, so I'll just shave them short. And then I'll chuck this in here. And now I'll render it again. Sweet. So, I can actually watch it with the animatic off. So that's putting it all together. I might want to chuck some certain modes on certain things, like for example, where am I? That's the front, that's the back, and there is the, oops, the one behind it, that one. Right under the foot here is the shadow. So what I might do is chuck that blending mode on multiply. Mostly it would tend to use multiply for shading. And I do T again, chuck that opacity down to maybe like 30. You can barely see it, but like, let me turn off some of these layers. You can barely see it, but yeah, looks okay. I don't usually animate what I don't need, so like, for example, I know there was a guy here, so I didn't animate the shadow under that other person. Cool. And then there was more shadow, I think, here. Oh, I put it on the wrong layer. So that's the shadow for this guy, this guy's shirt. So I'll do the same thing, chuck this on multiply, and chuck the opacity down. Except it's closer to camera, so I would probably make the opacity a little bit higher. Like that, because things closer to camera tend to have darker shadows. I mean, it depends on the light source, but you know. It also matches this a little bit better, like the coloration of that, so. So that's the shot, basically. I think I remember when I exported this last time, we found that this guy's skin tone was like a little bit too bright in comparison to everyone else. So what I can also teach you to do is color correct specific things. So this guy's on this layer. What we ended up doing with him is chucking his skin tone down just a little bit because it really stood out and ended up almost glowing in certain shots. So change color over here on the right is one of the effects. I chuck it on the layer I want it to go on. You pick a color. This is like a really like dodge way of doing it. If I was doing this in a studio, I'd probably just re-export this guy with a better color set. And then, yeah, my screen, I don't know if it shows the best color. And I don't know if your screen shows the best color, but you know, here you can just like do all the transformations. So maybe I want to turn this down a bit. As you can see, the threshold got the other dude's skin color too. So what we need to do, whoops, put that back on 0, is get the matching tolerance correct. So I'm just going to make this a little bit extreme so I can see it, and move the matching tolerance so it doesn't include that other guy. Just gonna turn him down a little bit. And just play it with the colors to match the palette a bit. So, yeah, it also changed this guy's shirt, but I don't mind that too much. So, as you can see, it went from very, very, very light colored to more palatable for the actual color palette. Yeah, I might actually put that back a bit. And maybe turn this down a little bit more. Yeah. So it's kind of subtle, but it makes a difference when you like watch it in speed, because then your eyes aren't drawn to this guy that's like really bright when you want to look at a lot of different things. I think there was also a color overlay in the final version we did. If not, I'll still teach you how I would do that. Yeah, okay, so here we go, right click, new adjustment layer, which is just like a layer that you can put anything on. So again, I go out, zoom out, and make that the right size. I might even move that just for sake of the... Oh, let me zoom in. Alright, so that's the adjustment layer. I like to change the color of this so I know what I'm looking at. And here, ramp is the name that After Effects gives a gradient. And I think we chucked a gradient over it, so... Usually my gradients go from, like, light yellow to dark purple, because that's, like, the palette that I'm just super into. But, like, it works really well with a lot of contrasting colors. You don't have to, like, use these ones. Something like that. And again, I think I chucked this on overlay. But we turned it way the fuck down. So, again, T for opacity. I think it was, like, on 15 or, like, something. So it's super subtle. It also gives the illusion that the light's coming, there's like some kind of light coming from above, which is obviously the direction the light is coming from inside this shop. I think somewhere we also like added, I'm not sure if it was this shot, but somewhere we also added like glare on the window, or like, you know, some light streaks, so I might just show you how to do that as well, since we're already here. So yeah, I would put that, you know, between the mannequin and under the top layer of background. Speaking of the top layer of background, I reckon it's a little light, so I might turn it down a little bit. So that's the dude. That's the top layer of background. You can always play with the color with the curves tool. Curves is a little hard to get used to, but basically you turn any color down by putting it down and any color up by turning it up. So if I wanted to make the background just a little bit darker, you can see it's like adjusting very slowly, as opposed to this. So I wouldn't do it that much, probably just like here. Yeah, whatever. Let's get to the lights. So you press new, you press solid, and then I would pick white. Call that like shine or whatever. Chuck it in the right position. Again, I have to resize this. And we're gonna use this tool up here to just cut out some streaks. Just control, scroll to zoom. Alright. See how these, if you press this, you can turn off the yellow bits on the mask. And once again, we put this on probably one of these ones, green maybe, and T for transparency. What the fuck? Thanks, Epic Games Launcher. And we just play with the opacity until we feel good about it. That's probably a bit much. I might actually feather the mask a bit, so if you... Whoops. Go down here. You can see that there is a mask section. Here are the masks. Whoa, whoa. Don't need to work with nodes. The mask feather. Maybe put that up a bit so it looks a little bit blurry. I'll zoom in so you can see. As opposed to this. You can make it a little bit blurry. Just a little bit, because it's not really in focus. Yeah, anyway, so after that, I think I would just, like, export it. I mean, if you have everything here, including your audio and, like, anything else you want to add, like credits and stuff of a short, you can probably just export it straight from here. You can add it to render queue. Like that. And output, if you want to export it right out from here, I'd choose H.264. And yeah, check that everything's good. Use this frame rate. Output it to wherever the fuck you want, and just press render. It might take a while. I recommend that you press caps lock while it's rendering, which means it won't show you the live render of what you're doing, which will make it render a little bit faster, but it does mean that you have to have caps lock on. Oh, if you want to export it to Premiere, for example, to then do some further editing or to add final things to it at all, you should probably render it into a PNG sequence again to prevent, double compression. And again, you can do that from here. PNG sequence, just like we did in the other programs. Press OK. Check that the settings are good. Output it to wherever you want, and then it'll come out like this. A bunch of images, just like last time. Cool. Well, I don't really know what else I can really tell you about compositing, but if you have any more suggestions for video tutorials, please let me know. Thank you so much to my patrons for supporting me. I would love to hear what else you would like to see a video on. I think I'm gonna probably do some lip sync in the next video, because that's the next thing I know that I can do, kind of improv and still get it pretty good. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next week. Bye!